Aloha, friends and neighbors. Roland Frost here, Kona Astrologer, and we're going to start show 909, right off with the sky mirror. Find out what's going on for you. One thing I can tell you right off is that we had a new moon at 8 degrees of Taurus. It sextiled Neptune. So art, music, religion, that kind of stuff, it's very in right now. The same new moon that happened at the end of April kind of diffused our Grand Cross a little bit. I say a little bit because not having the new moon on Uranus part of this Grand Cross, and now having an 8 Taurus new moon, which trines Pluto, sextiles Jupiter, sextiles Neptune, kind of takes some of the sting out of the Grand Cross. But you know, it's kind of noticeable that Mars here is moving backwards from 11 degrees back to 9 degrees, and Pluto here is at 13, and Uranus is at 14, and Jupiter's at 15. So Mars kind of begins the whole Grand Cross now. And Mars, well, you've seen the result of Mars already. Fires and fights and stabbings with the knife. So Mars is still part of this whole equation, which is moving up to 13, 14, 15. But, you know, Mars is still within orb. So what's it look like day by day? Let's check out the moon. As the moon moves around the edge of this planetary pattern, it generates the mood of the times. It's a generic mood now. It's not your chart. It's everybody in general, huh? And if you're on the Thursday night show on May 1st, you're having a pretty good day. The moon's in Gemini, starts with a nice trine to Mars. Get out and do some exercise, fix some stuff. In the middle of the day, you had a sextile to Uranus, and the technical tools are working. The machines, the electricity. You got higher knowledge from the intellect, science, not bad. Friday, the morning is fine. Works right through till the middle of the day. Here about 1 or 2 o'clock, there's a nice trine to the North Node, and there's a little nurturing around, but don't be fooled, because here's a nasty old square to Venus, and it's on Friday, Vendredi, Freya. Friday is Venus's day, and yet here is the moon squaring Venus. This happens around 8, 9 o'clock or so, depending on your location. So this is not the time to go on a date. No. It's not the time to expect sugar or sex or love. It's a time of some frustration. If anything, when the moon squares Venus, you'll tend to pig out. Instead of eating 1 candy bar, you'll eat 3 or 4. So desire, you're holding on to desire. A square is holding on to things in a neurotic way. And Friday night we're holding on to our desires and sweets in a neurotic way. Stop that. You'll get fat. Moon shifts into Cancer, and it starts feeling more zappy. After that Venus square. That's in the after dinner here Friday night and late. Saturday morning the moon's still in Cancer on the 3rd, and it starts with a nice trine to Neptune and a sextile to that new moon at 8 Taurus. So Saturday morning there's music, there's church, read Jesus. Remember, when the Bible says heavens, the translation should be sky. And Jesus was a trained astrologer. Anyway, the wisdom and the knowledge is there, and it comes from the higher heart. And the higher heart is what's happening here Saturday morning. So you just go out and sit in the backyard, you'll see butterflies and little colors, and hear some inner music. This is a nice time for Neptune, with a new moon sextile Neptune. But as Saturday goes on, once you get to the afternoon, here's a square to Mars. Everybody's getting angry, they're impatient, they're pissed off. Ask yourself what you're protecting. It gets worse as you go into Saturday night. Here's about 9, 10 o'clock. We have the opposition to Pluto, and there's power and control issues and territory. I got 1 cat chasing 2 other cats off the out of the house here today. It's territoriality, oh boy. You know, so there's a zapper here too. Uranus is here at 14. That's late Saturday night, and we could have some, you know, shakings. There could still be earthquakes and tornadoes and such. And this, just because the new moon is not accenting this, doesn't mean there's not going to be things going on. And frankly, with the moon opposing Pluto, I think that a lot of this new moon that we had here actually is a release. It's kind of like, suppose you were Pluto and you got a grand cross on you. Well, you're going to get all clogged up. It's like being constipated. The volcano is constipated. Jupiter's opposing it. Mars is squaring it. Uranus is squaring it. It's having tribulations and cramps and big things that are stopping it. And it's been stopped for a whole month. Now comes the new moon. Just happened for you. And gosh, it trines Pluto and it releases it. Let's go. It's like taking the milk of magnesia. You got Neptune helping. And sextiles Jupiter, the big thing that's too large, gets smaller. You know what happens? Pluto has a chance to discharge, to release. So this period here, Saturday night, Sunday morning, the 3rd and the 4th of May, looks to me like you could see a lot of action here that's been kind of frozen up. This could include stuff like the 370 flight. It's been frozen up for a month. There could be discovery now. Pluto has a good side. Pluto is discovery. You know, besides Pele and sharks and volcanoes and mass killings and guys running around with knives in high schools and, you know, 45s on military reservations. Kill everybody! Well, you know, hopefully this is going to feel a little better. Some good discovery about some of these things. Mars is still squaring Pluto, though. There still could be a lot of roughness. There could be a lot of rage. There could be rage against the police, against people with guns. Yeah, and the square D, excuse me. Yeah, Saturday night, Sunday, this action here still squares Mars and Uranus. And we already had some, was that Albuquerque policeman shooting a homeless man? There could be more. These could be soldiers going after protesters. Yeah, because you let Pluto go, sometimes that's police power, and people just say, okay, I'm just going to do my way, flight or fight, kill them all, let God sort it out. We don't know what Pluto's going to do when you let loose. Kind of scary, I admit. And so you're going to have a scary Saturday night, Sunday morning. Eek, a bug! It's still happening here. And some of this could involve Mars stuff. Fires, fights, blades. So, the lawyers are trying to stop this police violence. Department of Justice, which is a bunch of lawyers going after the Albuquerque police. Hooray! Anyway, tough Saturday, Sunday, tough weekend. Sunday afternoon gets a little better. There's a trine to Saturn. We get organized. Sextile to Mercury. We start communicating, huh? You know, that's after the middle of the day. And maybe you can forget the violence of Saturday night, Sunday morning. Continues those vibes through Monday morning, but after breakfast, the moon shifts into Leo here. When it does, there's a nice trine to Venus. And so Monday's going to be a kind of a nice day. Some sweetness is going on here. Oops, excuse me. So there could be some sweetness going on here Monday morning. You could enjoy getting back to work after that rather chaotic, horrendous weekend of the 3rd and 4th. Gets better Monday night. Actually, Tuesday morning, the moon's still in Leo. On the 6th, there's a nice sextile to Mars. And now you can handle the Martian energy. It's not anger, it's fixing things. The trine to Uranus. Wind damage, you can fix that too. Electronics, you know, anything goes around, it's all, we can fix it all. Goes on till Tuesday about dinner time. Then there's a square to the sun and you kind of lose the the ego pressure, you lose the planning capability, and things slow down slower and slower as you go through to get to Tuesday night late around midnight. There's a square to Saturn, everything slows down and stops. Wednesday morning, we got a square to Mercury. We're not communicating, people aren't getting around very easily. There's just plain some depression and some fear here from this square to Saturn and square to Mercury. Not too much fun. Try not to say depressive things Wednesday. It gets a little better after lunch with a sextile to the nodes. There's a little more carrying around, but it could be pretty harsh Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You'll find you'll be harsh in your judgments too, huh? Look out. Moon in Virgo feels a little better, but on Thursday morning, the 8th of May, there's an opposition to Neptune. It's a little confusing. Straightens right up late Thursday night with the trine to Pluto. Discovery happens. We feel more powerful. And on Friday, the 9th, well, positive energy everywhere. Yes, there's a trine to the Sun, sextile to Jupiter, sextile to Mars. Good judgment. Politicians, government, business people getting the contracts done. They investigated Thursday night. They go for it Friday morning. Should be a goodie for the market. I'll bet the Dow goes up nicely. So Friday's a pretty good day, the 9th, with the moon in Virgo. Continues all the way through Saturday morning. And then about breakfast time, here we have a trine to Mercury, and we're communicating. Things look fine. And then the moon shifts into Libra, and you're back in the zap zone. Mars is there. The Grand Cross is there. You feel it late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, kind of similar to what happened on the 3rd and 4th. But the moon's going by Mars. Did you watch the eclipse? If you watched the eclipse, you couldn't miss that red star about a foot above the eclipsed moon. That was Mars. So you're going to see that again here. If you go out late Saturday night or early Sunday morning before the sun comes up, you'll see the moon on Mars. Can't miss Mars, that red color. It's unlike anything else in the heavens. So you're communicating really well here Saturday night, and then Sunday morning the moon goes by Mars. You want to get physical. But gosh, in the afternoon, here's the opposition to Uranus. The electricity went out, and a square to Pluto, territoriality, people doing power trips. Finally, the square to Jupiter, they're overdoing it. So, if you can't get that work done really early Sunday morning, if you're planning on finishing it in the rest of Sunday, don't plan on that. No. And fires, we call them, in the safety business, we call them sharps and hots. Sharp things and hot things, that's Mars. That's when he's, up to his nasty little stuff.